Gals, and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Hillary, and if you're not, well, I'm glad that you guys have stayed. Tonight we are going to be covering the mysterious case of the Pollock twins, and this case has more of reincarnation kind of stuff going on, so let's get right on into it. Now, this strange story begins in the quaint and quiet little town of Hexham, located in Northumberland, England, with the family John and Florence Pollock and their 2 daughters. By all accounts, the Pollock family was very happy. They didn't really have any problems. They had a successful business, which I think they delivered milk, I guess, at the time, because this was a little bit ago, back when people delivered milk, I guess, to your door. But they were relatively happy. They didn't have any complaints. There wasn't anything weird going on in general, so they lived comfortably. And the Pollock girls, Jacqueline and Joanna, were said to be best friends, and they were basically inseparable. Regardless of their age difference, they were very, very close. The 2 girls and their friend were on their way to church when a local woman who had overdosed on aspirin ran into them, killing both of them. Reportedly, the children were sent flying through the air by the car, and immediately on impact, they died. Their friend who they were with, Anthony, he was a young boy, also got hit by the car and later died in the hospital. The devastating news of this accident was spread widely over England, and the girls' parents were inconsolable. There was nothing anyone could say over the loss of their daughters. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child. Florence, the girls' mother, spun into a deep, deep, deep depression, while their father dove right into religion and somehow was convinced that his daughters would come back. John even reported to having a vision of his daughters returning to him in the form of twin girls, which he told his wife over and over again, we are going to have 2 more daughters, and they're going to be reborn, and they're going to come back to us. John told his vision that he had of the reincarnation to his wife, and his wife, who at this time was just trying to get on, she was trying to move on from the deaths of her daughters, didn't really want to hear about it. She didn't want to hear about any of the crazy babblings of her husband. So this vision and what her husband was saying almost caused a divorce between the 2, because the wife didn't really want to hear it and thought that he was just maybe losing it a little bit. Despite this ordeal, Florence actually became pregnant the following year and gave birth to twin girls on October 4th, 1958. And this was actually very odd, seeing as their doctor said they would only have 1 baby based on the heartbeat and the fetus and all of the procedures that they had gone through. I'm not sure really what they had in 1958. I guess ultrasounds, I don't know. But the doctor said that they would only be having 1 baby, and they actually gave birth to 2 healthy girls, just as John had predicted. Neither one of the parents had any history of twins in their family either, so that was a little bit strange. Jillian and Jennifer were actually considered by their father to be a miracle. John truly believed that this was reincarnation and that his 2 daughters that had passed on had come back to him in the form of his new daughters, his new twin daughters. There was an odd birthmark on Jennifer's right eye that eerily matched a scar that Jacqueline had on her right eye, as well as a matching round birthmark on her waist. Jillian actually lacked any birthmarks whatsoever, which made this kind of odd because they were identical twins. So they had no, like, the markings that Jennifer had over her eye and on her hip, Jillian did not. So I don't know, a little weird. At this point, the family decided to move from Hexham to a place called Whitley Bay when the twins were just a few months old. So after this is kind of where things started to get a little bit strange. As soon as the twins were actually able to speak, they started to request toys that only Jacqueline and Joanna had. And when their parents gave them these toys, they would separate them to who had who. So Jennifer would have the toys that belonged to, I think it was Jacqueline, and Jillian would have the toys that belonged to Joanna, and they would actually separate these toys based on whose was whose. and they would request them. They would describe to their parents what these toys looked like. So their parents thought that that was a little odd, and they didn't really know how to explain it. And also, at this point, these toys were stored up away in the attic. Their parents had put them away because it was too painful. So these kids, the twins, did not know what these toys were or what they looked like, but somehow were able to describe toys that they had never seen. And at this point, the twins had no idea that they had had sisters who had passed away. So it's kind of odd to me. I find that a little bit strange. I don't know if I believe in reincarnation, but I think after this story, I'd like to. Like, I mean, cool. There could be another Hillary, 2 of us. Another strangeness was that the girls also liked specific foods that their sister liked. Like, they would both have certain things that they liked, and they just happened to kind of be exactly what their sisters liked. So that was another thing that was a little bit weird. Like, they were basically the same. They had the same mannerisms. They would say the same things as their sisters that had passed away, and it just couldn't be explained. Gillian had once pointed to the birthmark on Jennifer's forehead and accurately said that this is where Jacqueline had hit her on the head with a bucket when she was way younger, leaving a scar on her forehead. Before Jacqueline or the twins had died, Jacqueline was having trouble writing. She would hold her pencil straight up like this and was having trouble learning how to write, which was the exact same thing that Jennifer started to do. She was having problems writing because she would hold her pencil like this, as well as both twins started to, they looked like their sisters. So one was more tall and slender, while one was more stocky and built, and they resembled as well as picked up these things. So I think that their parents were just like, you reincarnated, you sisters, this is a little too much at this point. These oddities would continue over and over and over again, and it came to a point where the family took a trip back to their hometown, which they had left basically when the girls were born. They left a while ago. The girls would not remember, and they both pointed out the school that their sisters had went to, saying, that's our school. We've been there. That's our school, Mom, Dad. That's our school. And they never went to school there. They had moved. They did not know the area, yet somehow they were able to point out landmarks in this town that they had left at, like, what, a month old? And the 2 twins, they both had this weird fear of cars. They hated them. Anytime someone was honking or made like an erratic gesture while driving, they hated cars. They would have a full-blown panic attack. And that was the way their sisters died, so it's kind of understandable. And their mother, Florence, once overheard the girls talking about the accident that had killed their sisters, which they did not know. They didn't even know that they had sisters, yet somehow they're talking about the accident that killed their sisters. Jennifer would rest her head on Gillian's lap and say that there was blood dripping from her eyes. Interestingly enough, the memories that the twins had started to fade at the age of 5, which was the age that their sisters died. So it was almost like they started living the life that they were supposed to live. They weren't worried about anything anymore, like the schools, their toys. Those memories began to fade, and then they began to make new ones. And after the age of 5, as the girls grew up, they both started to live relatively normal lives. Although the twins grew up generally not remembering their past lives, there was a couple times where they had some lucid dreams. Gillian would remember playing in a sandbox in Wickham as Joanna. She would remember exactly what she did, exactly how she played with her sisters, with her toys, but she had never been to that house. She had never been there in Wickham, so there's no way that she could have described the sandbox or the memory as it is. Like, their parents saw them and didn't know how she could recall this, having never been there. These powerful visions passed, but it showed that the memories were still there deep down in the girl's psyche. They could remember this past life that they had never lived. Now, this case is so widely spread that it's made people believe, is reincarnation possible? How can it be that somebody that was not around or wasn't there at this time could remember these memories and have the same birthmarks in the same places and know about scars or which toys or where their school was when they had never been there. I'm starting to believe in reincarnation, guys. It's a really eerie one, and I'm happy that you guys were here to listen. I'm happy that I was here to tell it to you. So I'm gonna end this video there, and I thank you guys for watching, and thank you for coming back, and I hope you guys will come back for my next video. If you liked, feel free to like it and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.